Welcome to the Howell Business Beat. I'm Janelle Smith, president of the Howell Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Dianne Samples. Welcome, Dianne.
Hello, everyone.
Here on the Howell Business Beat, we are the go-to source for the latest insights, success stories, and trends shaping Livingston County's business community. And today we have with us a special guest, Marcia Gebaroski. Welcome, Marcia.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. So Marcia is our powerhouse in Livingston County for economic development. And she's a dedicated advocate for business growth, community partnerships. She's played really the primary role in economic development in our county for several years. And she's here today to give us an update on what's happening with economic development in Livingston County and what we can anticipate, what's been lay a little background and history. So we're excited to have a great conversation today, Marcia. Thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy to be here, and happy New Year, I guess, as we close out Q1, and always looking for what's coming next. But I have had the privilege of working here in Livingston County on behalf of the Economic Development Council of Livingston County it'll be 8 years this year. And the EDC is a bit of an interesting organization. This organization here in Livingston County was formed in the early 80s in 1983. It is a 501c3 nonprofit, and it's what we call a public-private partnership of economic development. So the board and the funders are made up of both our communities in Livingston County as well as our industry and private sector leaders.
When you say communities, are like municipal leaders?
Municipalities.
Okay.
Yeah. So our cities, our villages, townships that do want to work on moving the economic landscape forward in Livingston County. And what's interesting and what's important about having an economic development organization locally is it really helps set the table for sustainable growth and for assisting in the planning and the planning of growth, as well as preservation of where areas we don't want to see growth. And what we've been able to do a lot in the last few years is we provide the data. So we know where our key industries are. We know what our economic landscape is locally. We know, so much about our communities, our residents, that we're able to help guide, advise, and attract the right type of industry that is best suited for our workforce here in Livingston County, but as well as look at the industries that are doing really well and help retain and make sure that we're taking care of the businesses that we do have here in the county. Because even though it's not a big portion of our tax base, it is percentage-wise, but it is a big tax base for our communities.
Right. And it gives us access to a lot of different services, the things that we love about living here, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question about economic development, just kind of broad. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Because I think a lot of people hear economic development and they're like, oh my gosh, big, development,
right.
Huge metro. That is not Livingston County. So,
it's not. No.
And I don't think it's going to be, but I would love to hear kind of from your perspective and your seat and where you've sat for the last 8 years, what economic development is in this county. Could you define that a little bit more?
So the one constant about economic development is that there's always change. Change is the one constant. So for instance, when the EDC was formed in the early 80s, they were chasing every large manufacturer that we see here in the county. We have beautiful industrial parks. We have large manufacturers. And for a lot of years, the goal of economic development was bring in the investment. And so I call that, it's textbook smokestack chasing. But that's done. And now we're looking at, okay, what's the advanced economy? What's our knowledge economy? What majority of our high school graduates are going to college? Well, based on the degrees they're getting, if they want to come back to Livingston County, we need to have a knowledge-based economy and those types of jobs, whether that's advanced manufacturing or healthcare. Those degreed positions are really important. So it's looking at the talent, it's setting the table to make sure that our communities know how to attract and house the right businesses as well as future employees.
Right. And beyond business, beyond future employees, those future employees are, the residents' grandchildren and their children.
Right.
I mean, Livingston County is a very generational county.
Right.
And so to set that table and to be pre-planning and thinking about that is incredibly important. So it's great that we have a mechanism such as the EDC in place and able to do that.
We do.
Well, and I think you've hit it on that's what differentiates us from some of the other counties is we are such a generational county. So we
Correct.
do have this fabulous pipeline of future employees, and we want to keep that talent here.
And there are so many similarities between what chambers do and what EDOs, economic development organizations, do. It's my lane will always be making sure that the businesses have a face-to-face resource, no matter where they are in Livingston County, that we want to be enough of a referral and that I am enough of a subject matter expert on what is available at the state, what the federal government's doing, what we have available locally, and then, to create and to work with and collaborate with our chambers and other service organizations to create local initiatives to support what we have in Livingston. And that's what makes a local EDO, local economic development organization, unique, whether it's in Livingston, whether my counterparts in Shiawassee County are doing what they do for their businesses, Oakland County. And that's what keeps it local, is we know the data and that we can help lead that conversation. And then we've got these wonderful collaborations with our school districts and with our ISD, with our chambers. And that's what,
It's what makes the wheels turn in a way that's really productive for everybody, because we want to, we all know that what we have here is really special.
Yes.
So we want to maintain that, but also having this mechanism in place allows us to be super strategic about that. So one of the things I've said a few times recently is, Livingston didn't just get this way by accident, right? There was a lot of pieces in play that were really strategic and thoughtful. And this EDC, LC, and that mechanism in place is one of those things that brought us here.
Absolutely. Our mission is we want to attract new capital investment and we want to retain and create jobs in Livingston County. That's it. So, where that happens and where we want to see preservation versus growth, we can do that at any scale. So this is it's a very scalable table that we can, look at where we want to have our communities lie. One thing that is also a little bit of an advantage is a lot of state and federal funding that come into our communities kind of flows through our local EDOs. So currently there are state grants out there that we have regional EDO partners. So Livingston is a part of what we call a prosperity region of 5 other counties. And so we share grant funds for things like site readiness and
Small Business Support Hub.
Small Business Support Hub. But other programming that achieves the goals and missions of the MEDC, other state agencies. And as an EDO, we're able to go after other grant funds for these initiatives that are going to benefit us locally.
Right, and ensuring that they're in alignment with all of the goals set by the EDC.
Right.
So, it does make a really wonderful partnership, and we're excited about it. So a little history. So 1980s is kind of the formation, and you've been with the EDC for about 8 years now. And where does it stand today, and what's the future look like?
So the EDC has had an interesting past. They had a long-time executive director for, I would say, the better part of 12 or 15 years, Fred Dillingham, and he was like a full-time staff person. So the EDC had a staff of 3. And upon his retirement, the board kind of took a little different vision, a different approach, and they wanted to elevate Livingston County, and they felt that the best way to do that was to make Livingston more part of the region. And at the time, we created these prosperity regions at the state, and we were part of the Ann Arbor region. And so there is another economic development group in Washtenaw County, Ann Arbor Spark, and the EDC said, let's work with Spark, and hey, could you staff Livingston? And so instead of having a full-time director, there was a funding relationship for about 12 years. And so I filled out the last 8 of those 12 years. And there was a staffing agreement in place for Spark staff to do the boot work, the boots on the ground, everyday work on behalf of the EDC. And I think what the results that were brought over the last 12 years, the types of data, the visibility and everything was superb. I mean, as a professional, it was a highlight of my career to even be hired and to have an opportunity to work for an organization as elite as Ann Arbor Spark is for the state of Michigan. Moving forward, the board did have to accept a withdrawal of Spark from remaining the staffing agency to the EDC. And so moving forward, the board thought, let's look at how we could do this locally. And perhaps that could really help spearhead a lot more local engagement from our local leaders, more municipalities, government officials, as well as of other businesses. And so we're excited that both the EDC board and the Howell Chamber came together. And so we're going to move forward on a new staffing agreement for the EDC to have that staffing arrangement with the Howell Chamber of Commerce.
Yes. So and we are so
We are
excited.
excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Marcia, for sharing a little bit of background on that and explaining all of the details of how that all works together, because I do think it can be a little confusing sometimes.
be.
And, like you said, you've got all these different organizations. So, of course, we're very excited to be a partner with the EDC and to be able to offer staffing services with yourself here in Livingston County and continue to work on economic development in the county. As we mentioned previously in the conversation, how vitally important this is to continue to see Livingston County prosper in a very grassroots way.
Yes.
So being that local entity, being that boots on the ground, I think that you could agree that there are a lot of synergies and efficiencies for us to continue to build on. And we've got that great foundation laid to really cultivate the relationships, grow relationships, work on business retention, and some of the other challenges that we're seeing really face our region. So I know that we've done a lot of work in the space of not only just talent retention, but talent development. And what does that look like? So I'd love to hear a little bit more of your perspective on, because I know that things are shifting a little bit. We're looking for mission funders. Obviously, this is an incredible opportunity to bring economic development back into the county, kind of at that local level with the staffing. So what is the future piece of that kind of hold? And from a mission funder standpoint, what is that?
So what I envision moving forward into 2025 and 26 is that we look at more localized programming for things that we've really never touched on before, supporting real estate development, just educating our stakeholders on things of like what our broker partners do, what real estate does. And to have the programming, so looking for whether it's an event and we're looking for like one-time sponsorships or organizations that we have already interacted with, they've interacted with me, or just start to really understand and believe in the mission of the EDC, to work on additional funding so that we can move forward. And I would like to see more programming in the future. We did in the transition lose a part-time development person, so I am, we're down to not a staff of 3, and so it would be great to build that back up as the need arises. But we have so many new challenges facing our businesses as we move forward. And, we're paying attention to tariffs, we're paying attention to so many different things that. To allow and enable, like I know who we could get as great speakers. It's just that that does come at a cost, and we would have to look at a budget to bring a lot more greater resources local.
So as a mission funder, could you potentially have a seat at that table, have a bigger voice in economic development, and then be able to support some of this programming to really enhance the overall business environment in Livingston County?
Yeah, so the visibility for our mission funders for the EDC is really great. We totally revamped our website last year, so we have great visibility with our website.
It's also a great resource.
It is. I encourage anybody, edclivingston.org. We wanted to make sure that all of the information was at the tip of your fingers. If you need any information on doing business in Livingston County or where resources need to be, or where to come from, that's the website to go to. And we wanted to make that an all-in-one. We do a drip campaign with our local radio stations. So there is a lot of visibility opportunity. We also, there is a board of directors, and this is a unique board. I am a part of a lot of or nonprofits across the county, and this board is really a board of influence. They only meet 4 times a year, and it really is to offer guidance, share trends, and then really kind of be in the know. I track projects that I do work on. So right now my pipeline is about $75 million of potential new investment coming into the county that, the board is going to kind of be the first to know on what's going on development-wise that I'm paying attention to. And then the data from these retention visits and all of the follow-up that we get from the conversations one-on-one that I have with our business community.
Well, it's exciting. There's a lot going on, and it's amazing. We're so excited to be part of this transition and to see economic development to continue to thrive, and the economy here to thrive in Livingston County as we move into 25, 26. I think there's a lot of great things on the horizon. It's not without its hurdles.
Nothing good ever is.
Right? Exactly.
Economic development is what I call a long game. What we do in the first quarter of 2025 might not be, newsworthy, but what we accomplish over a year and the data that we have over 8 years and how we can tell the story really does come en masse. So it's, I've been following some projects that, they've been in the waiting game for almost 4 years.
But that's laying the groundwork. That's laying the groundwork for what's to come and building that that pipeline up. That's part of it.
We're a very relational industry. And so, it starts with a cup of coffee with a business, and then it goes to, hey, let's check out this piece of property, to, hey, I'd like you to meet this builder, to, and it takes time. And, we are it's very trustworthy because we keep a lot of things confidential. And, but it is a long game. So when we see success, it's years of work.
Right. And even from the retention standpoint, and some of the resources that you're able to provide from a retention standpoint are just absolutely invaluable to our businesses here in Livingston County and to really their long-term success as well.
Well, and also there's a lot of checks and balances that go into that process. True. And like you said, that trusted resource where we're sure that we're, crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's so that it is able to have that impact. So that's important too.
Well, and relational. That's the same
Takes
business
time.
we're in.
It's
So
I can't do my job if I don't have great partners. And so between my relationships with our chambers, our Michigan Works Agency, I don't have all the funding, but I know who you're going to talk to for the funding. And so, I just encourage, if I haven't sat down with a business, I would love to just sit down and just have a conversation because I might not have a resource today. But if we meet again in 6 months, chances are you're going to I remember that. Yeah, I want to put that in place. And
absolutely. Well, we look forward to really strengthening our ties, obviously, and really expanding on what this means for our county from a grassroots level. So
thank you.
Really good things to come. And until next time, we'll catch you on How Will Business Be?